Everyone, welcome back to a Monday market review. Been a while since I've done one of these actually, and trying to get back into the rhythm of doing so, since I think they're a great way to start off the week, and definitely want to start on uploading back to YouTube since I've been slacking there lately. Keep it short, 10 minutes, under 10 minutes. Start off with the higher time frame and then talk about BTC and ETH, so mostly majors. Connections to BTC, so like BTCD and BTC values, and then we'll get onto some altcoins I'm looking at and the plan for the week basically. We're going to talk about the higher time frame, but mostly discuss the week ahead. So let's get into it. Right, so something to look at on BTC on the higher time frame is the idea that for me that we're seeing what I would think is the second market pullback of this cycle, whether you're counting the market cycle to start from January 2023, or for me, I seem to think that our cycle started coming into Octo back end of Q4 2023. Similar to what we saw back in October 2020, almost identical, right? What we had was this sort of a BART pattern, as we see here, following a break of a pretty key level, right? That doesn't have to be support. In this case, it was this resistance area for BTC back in the previous, not the previous cycle, but the cycle before that, the post 2017 cycle. We can see that we had, pretty key resistance, and eventually once we broke this, we started that, parabolic run from BTC, and that's definitely something that we're seeing here again. Key level for BTC, we had this BART pattern before running it up into what I think started as the parabolic. Back in 2017, this time around, we didn't exactly break all-time high before our first significant market pullback, right? We sort of consolidated below. BTC put in a 20% pullback. From our ETF launch, we put in again a 20% pullback. First market pullback of the cycle. Second being towards January 2021, BTC put in a minus 30% move, in which I think we have also done a similar thing, around a minus 20% move, but same case. I think now we could say that we're at our second larger market pullback, and this time consolidating above all-time high, which is a great place for BTC to hold. There's the obvious case that if BTC does deviate back below what I think is the key level from here, this 63-64k area, if we do deviate under this region, then that would be literally the only bearish scenario for me. It's a deviation back under here. We could probably look at trading back towards this cluster at 44k, and this is absolute bearish case for me, and as of right now, I do not think this will happen. I think that this consolidation is going to lead to further upside at some point in the near future, once this ranging period is open, right? Nothing ever goes in a straight line. We have the rally, base, rally, base, rally, right? And at some point, this consolidation, in my opinion, will break up to the upside, and we'll get into the lower time frame now, but this deviation into 60k seems like a great place to start it from. Another thing I want to get to is the structure on the lower time frame. BTC has actually shifted. Right, we were having this strong sell side structure where we had this PA constantly, the previous structured low area was rejecting, and we eventually saw that reversal, and now twice we have invalidated this bearish structure. So something to consider here is that this sell side structure has shifted, and we are trading back in a range, right? We'll get into this now. We're trading back inside this range between 71k and 63k. Put in a really nice deviation here and looking at reclaiming. I do think if we do drop back below here, there's a chance we could bounce into 57k, but as of right now, this deviation is significant enough for me to look for that further upside towards 71k. So now we start to look at which point are we interested in taking new spot positions if you're not already positioned in from the low, because as of right now, the wicks were the absolute Pico entries on altcoins, and if you're not in it, it can be hard to position now, and we'll get into those shortly. So on BTC, I think that the best case scenario for us would be retesting back towards 64. We did see a short move over the weekend, up from Saturday, and then a weekly open drive. So maybe a retest back towards 63,300 this week can be a really nice place to get an entry. We can sort of line that up with values, right? The previous week value area high. I think this is an important place to hold back towards that 65k. Any drop towards this region this week, 65k to sort of 64, we're going to look to try and get exposure for a move back towards that 71k region. High time frame. Honestly, not a massive fan of the idea that we have deviated back inside the developing yearly value area high. In which case, if we do, on this 3-day, we can see that we sort of lost this 3-day level. If we do start to reject from 67 and we fail to hold 64, then that 57 region, as I mentioned, is that point I'd be interested to getting into new spot exposure across the board. When I was talking about earlier the move into 45k, that would only be if we start to close below here on the higher time frame, right? We can easily wick into 57 and come out on the lower time frame and leave these wicks that we've seen previously. So it's very important now that we do start to break above 66k. It is that place, that new rejection point for BTC. So regarding new positions this week, I'm going to play it a little bit slower. I think we can reject from here back towards 64k, and that's going to be the first place of looking for a reversal for me, right? Is this previous week value or high, and 63k being that range low region. We should hold there. Fail to hold there, then probably 57 and back up. BTCD, this is a pretty interesting chart and something that I do want to talk about. Consistently held, we sort of form a small range, break, and we hold that high, right? Sort of form a small range, we break, hold that high. Again here, we sort of form a range, we break, and we hold that high. The only point I think the BTC is going to start selling off is once we invalidate this sort of breaking of the holding of the high. So you can almost imagine here that we are going to continue on BTC towards that 58 to 60% region, and I think from there that would be the point we would look for a reversal and see altcoins really trend in the market, getting that alt season that most people thrive for in the bull market. So as long as we're doing this sort of structure on BTC, until we invalidate that structure, I would not be looking for a bearish scenario for BTCD. ETH, very simple for me here, needs to reclaim 3300. If we can put in a deviation under here and reclaim, you can almost guarantee that this flagging from ETH is over and we will continue to move up. We'll get into the values of ETH too much. But going over the setups that I'm actually looking at taking, FET, this is actually performing the sort of setups I want to see, and I'm going to keep an eye on this during the coming week. Previous range low area, deviation, and now looking at reclaiming that region. So a move towards $3 if the market moves up this week could be a really nice trade to watch for FET. Maybe on the daily, need to wait for some more consolidation. I think what I like to see on these reclaims for the trigger would be a little drop underneath and a reclaim, then we get that deviation on lower time frame. That gives you a pretty nice entry and invalidation. You enter on the reclaim, invalidation below that low, and target the opposing side of the range. TIA has a similar setup as I just discussed. I'll also be watching this for the week coming. Hasn't yet flipped this 11.9 region just yet. Has broken the downtrend. I want to sort of see a stronger break, retest, and then we will look for that continuation move. INJ, lagging compared to FET and TIA. But again, want to see that flip above sort of 33, and I think we can take a long and look for probably a move back towards $50 at least. Until then, maybe we can, if the market does pull back, we can look at filling back towards 21 again, as discussed in my multi-time frame market report from last week. RNDR, you guessed it, almost exactly the same setup. Want to see a flip here, deviation, start to flip, we can look for that next leg up on RNDR. you know, these 4 altcoins all look exactly the same, and I'm looking for that same setup across the board. I do think these will be top performers if the market starts to move up again, especially tier. You know, the tier Bitcoin chart has been in, you know, pretty horrendous downtrend. 75% off the highs seems like a nice place to mean revert, as does the INJ BTC chart. 70% off the highs seems like a nice place to mean revert if it can outperform against BTC. Thus, high time frame, this doesn't have the same setup as these 4, but looks solid. Nice hold of this high time frame level. I think this can perform really well. We'll go on the USDT chart because it makes things a little bit clearer. High time frame, if it can get back above 45, it looks great. But here also looks great. The high time frame, it held that high time frame level on a drop, as did Jasmine. Great place to bounce. I'm in some spot on this already from the low, but this is something to keep an eye on. This compression can lead to further upside, but what you don't want to see is this start to roll over. This is a sign of potential weakness for me, and likely would sweep those lows before moving up. And Solana, again, another altcoin that held considerably well on the higher time frame on that recent market sell-off. Needs to hold above 140, and it likely looks great for upside. That's rounding off just above 10 minutes. That'll be all for this week's Monday market review. We'll try to make this a weekly thing. Going live in Utopia Discord in about an hour and a half, so feel free to come and join. And if you are not in the Discord, links to joining will be in the description. See ya.